What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you see a Patreon account. You click, you become a member. All you got to do is try, recommend movies, music, trailers for me to react to. Now, with that being said, we are here today with a little bit of, I guess you could call this a reaction video. I am going to, earlier today, I saw a brief snippet of this video of, they were having some sort of debate on Good Morning Britain, and it was in regards to trying cancel culture, trying to cancel Snow White over consent, which is the freaking dumbest thing ever. The small snippet I've seen was really stupid, but I wanted to see this whole skit or segment in its entirety. Is about 8 minutes, so we about to run through this thing, and I'm gonna make commentary on while we watching it. So let's go ahead and just dive into this bullshit. Go ahead and get into this thing. You know what's bullshit? This. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go.
Disneyland's revamped Snow White theme park ride has sparked controversy because it has changed its ending to show a sleeping Snow White receiving true love's kiss from her handsome prince.
Now, the ride has been met with backlash for showing the prince kissing Snow White without her consent, with critics saying the depiction of the kiss in the film teaches kids old-fashioned ideas about what a man is allowed to do to a woman.
Off top, stupid. So this shit is stemmed from a ride because it's depicting the kiss from the movie. Got you. All right.
So should Disney rethink showing sleeping princesses being kissed unaware? Joining us now is dating historian Nikki Hodgson, who says we should update the story's ending to reflect modern society, and relationship therapist Emiliana Silvestri, who says it is ridiculous to suggest Disney has a moral duty.
OK, let's start with you, Nikki. Really? I mean, you know, are we also going to update it so it doesn't have all of those animals able to do sort of superhuman things? Are we also going to update it so we don't send the message that you should give poisoned apples to people that you don't like? I mean, you know...
Okay, her point about the animals was stupid. Not gonna lie. I wouldn't have went that route. I would have let her talk first because she's probably in favor of canceling this. I would have let her set the stage, but the whole animal thing coming out the gate was stupid, but the poison apple thing was okay, I guess.
This is Disney. It's not real life.
No, it's not real life, but it's really important to note that the original story from 1812 didn't feature a kiss at the end at all. So Disney invented the kiss in 1937 when the film came out. This film is nearly 80 years old.
And what the... So she's bringing up the Grimm book. In order to defend her argument, she is bringing up the Grimm story, which has blood and death and all kind of crazy shit in it. Sure, let's go ahead and use that as a reference point because, you know, the children.
Now, you know, it was brought about in the Depression. It was meant to cheer people up, but it was also brought about at a time when women didn't have the same kind of rights to push men back, and when we didn't treat children with such reverence. So, you know, what's really important is that we talk now to kids about consent, about them having a body bubble, about them knowing that people can't come into their space, and this scene goes against all of that.
Emiliana, I mean, it's...
So her argument is that this scene of the prince kissing Snow White while she's dead, allegedly, is basically not, is going to teach kids to, I guess, kiss people without consent. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't never in my life, I've seen Snow White, and I ain't never just wanted to kiss somebody just because I saw them get kissed in Snow White. That's the fucking dumbest argument I've ever heard, but continue.
Children, we do develop values very early on as children by the things that we watch, and whether it's fiction or not fiction, we don't sort of, if you're very young, maybe you don't decipher between the two at that age, but it sort of becomes ingrained in you. So doesn't Disney have a level of responsibility to be more contemporary and address the values that we adopt now in 2021?
No, I disagree. I think Disney's a form of entertainment, and I think it's my job as a parent to teach my daughter the issues of consent. I don't think it's
Facts.
Disney, which is an entertainment.
Facts. That is facts. Big fackaroonies, homie. She said it is my job as a parent to teach my children consent, not Disney. Facts. And on top of that, you're asking Disney, which is one of the most fucking PC or brands out there. Disney is one of the most PC brands out there. You're asking them, you're questioning their ability or their lengths of PCness. Tight. Continue.
Or should be responsible for teaching children issues that are coming up now. I think it's great that we're opening this conversation of consent, and whatever does that, I think, is a positive thing. But people blaming Disney and a romantic kiss at the end of a movie in a fantasy tale isn't what's
Okay. All right. I'm pretty sure they're doing this because they don't want Disney to like sue them or to like, for using their imagery. But the fact that we're talking about consent and then they blurt it out for a split second there, it made me feel like they blurred this out because it was going to offend somebody. I'm just going to pretend that it's offending somebody. So that's why they blurred it out. It makes it much more funnier.
responsible for why teenagers and people older have become confused about consent and issues as such. Disney's not responsible for it. And I think for them to come under attack is really unfair. And I think it's a parent's responsibility to teach my 6-year-old, if she's watching that, the difference between consent and the difference between reality.
Can I clarify, though? In real life, are you saying what Prince Charming did was okay? Is that okay? In real life?
I'm saying it's a fairy tale. It's not a real situation.
Yeah, but if it was in real life, would that be okay?
The story's a little odd as it is.
If that was in real life, let me put into context what this dude is saying. He is initially saying that in real life, if some 7 dwarves walked through the woods with a glass casket and placed it in the woods to get ready to bury somebody who they believe is dead, and a man walks by and hears the story, and he's just so overwhelmed with emotion that he feels the need to, I guess, kiss this person for some strange ass reason, because it's a sad story. But yeah, if it's in real life, we're really trying to put Disney in a context of real life. Tight. Continue.
Because he's kissing her because she wouldn't wake up if she wasn't kissed. So in real life, if that was the case, you'd want that person to be kissed because you want them to wake up. So the story's not reality, and that's what I would explain to a child who's watching it. I think you're seriously underestimating the intelligence of children if you think that will become a confusion to them later on in life about consent. I think that's really underestimating what children are capable of and what they understand by nature. Also,
man, dude, they be treating kids like they just like don't know shit. Like, I get it, kids are sponges and they absorb everything that they see, but at the same time, a lot of kids have a lot of common sense, and if you're doing your job as a parent, you don't have to worry about your kid doing something like that. Like, I played Mortal Kombat, I watched The Simpsons, I watched Family Guy, I watched all kind of shit, and like, I never was just like this. I never used that against somebody, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I never took that stuff and put it in the realm of reality. I understand that these are movies and this shit doesn't really happen in real life. These are fucking cartoons, man. I'm not gonna walk and then shove a fucking dynamite stick down somebody's pants and shit and blow them up because fucking Wile E. Coyote, they're having a Wile E. Coyote with the Roadrunner. You get what I'm saying? It's stupid to try to realitize cartoons and stories like this. Like, these are fables, it's just fiction, but they're trying to realitize it. It's so dumb.
People who, I work as a therapist and I've worked with people on both sides, those victims and those who have been accused of harassment, and people who don't understand consent and boundaries aren't doing that because they watched a Disney film when they were younger that's confused them. It's much more complex than that, why people are going into,
hey, yo, she ugly as fuck, but she coming with that fire.
Situations that they don't understand and crossing boundaries. It's nothing to do with Disney. I've never sat in an office and thought, oh, if he hadn't have watched Snow White, he'd be behaving himself.
Yeah, Nikki, that's a really important point, isn't it? That there are issues around consent, and it's very important that young people and teenagers discuss them. But perhaps Disney fairy tales are, not our educators here. There are all sorts of things that happen in Disney fairy tales that, are not real life. And actually, if you start using these fairy tales and these stories and these lovely films that we all adore watching with our children, if you start introducing really kind of unpleasant issues into them, it sort of spoils the experience without actually gaining any benefit.
Well, I think it's really interesting that Emiliana is obviously a very diligent and great parent, because she's just said herself that she sits down with her children and would explain something that happened in a film. But many parents don't know what their children are watching and are not paying attention to that. So that's one of the things.
Whose fault is that? You're literally just basically skipping the fucking responsibility of the parent, and you're blaming Disney. You're blaming an organization because the parent is not keeping up with their kid. Listen to the fucking mental gymnastics that's going on here, people.
Things that concerns me. And just in terms of consent, I beg your pardon?
That's not Disney's fault that parents are, that's parents' fault, then we should go to the parents.
I'm not saying it's Disney's fault, but Disney, of course, Disney can choose to have a moral duty or not. It's up to them. They can be an ethical business if they want to be. They make so many millions of billions of pounds every year from their films. And children watch them very young, and they are some of the first stories that they imbibe.
I hear you, and I watched them, and I was never confused about consent. I watched all the Disney films as a child, so does my child, and neither of us are confused about consent. I think
exactly, homie. That's why this whole Pepe Le Pew shit is stupid too. I watched this mofo kiss that little cat up the arm all the time, and I ain't never in my life wanted to just kiss a girl up the arm. But continue.
I think it's the responsibility of the parent. I think it's brilliant, and respect you for bringing this up as a conversation, and it's important, but it's not Disney where we should be looking to that's the cause of this problem. You're absolutely right. It's parents. Education could do with changing it. And Disney have evolved through criticism, and they have changed the characters, and Tangled and Moana and Frozen, and there is a lot of, they've changed and they've evolved. This is a very historical story that I don't think they should have to change history because of this consent issue that I don't believe has caused any issues.
Nikki, it's not sorry, let me just, I just want to ask, it's not even that it's a historical story. I mean, it's just not, it was never true. You know, all of the things that happen in this story, we have suspended our disbelief about.
The story itself didn't end with a kiss.
We know that this is not real. It's an act of fiction. Therefore, we are not over here trying, bro. You are basically saying kids are going to be out there with the Superman capes on, jumping off the houses and shit, trying to fly.
Disney invented that kiss, so they do have responsibility.
We have suspended our disbelief about, haven't we?
The story itself didn't end with a kiss. Disney invented that kiss, so they do have responsibility for changing the plot line. The original 1812 Grimm story does not end with a kiss. Instead, the dwarves carry the coffin.
No, it didn't. But that original story had that man at 32 and the child, and that Snow White at 14, didn't it? So the original story's got a lot to do.
She was actually 7. She was actually 7 in the original Grimm's fairy tale.
Well, exactly. So we could go into it.
That to be. I mean, all of these stories, Nikki, are invented, aren't they? And as we look at them, you know, there's Snow White, and she's obviously in a state, and she needs some medicine or something to save her. And you know, I mean, are you going to introduce conversations about that? You know, that's a little bit much for children, you know, to talk about the brutal realities of what happens if, you know, you're in a state like that. I mean, some of these things you just want to be in a kind of romantic fuzz when you're watching them, don't you?
It's not education, it's escapism. It's a form of entertainment.
I think it's really important to say that lots of children, obviously Emiliana says that it was fine for her, it's fine for her daughter, but lots of children do copy what they see. They don't have it explained to them. And it's not about Disney having responsibility. It's about us as a society deciding, are we sending collectively out the right messages to our children? 1 in 20 children are sexually abused, according to the NSPCC. And it's really important that we get them to...
Oh, I hate when people do this. I call this stat padding, because this statistic that she just dropped does not benefit her argument at all. It's out of context like crazy. What does that have to do with Disney and this consent argument that you're pushing? Now, I don't know if I missed it because I paused it too quick. Let me bring it back. But I don't like when people do this. Like, they drop a fucking random ass stat, and it's a fucked up stat, obviously. It's supposed to make you feel. But at the same time, in the realm of reality, when you break this down and you listen to her, she ain't saying shit.
Understand. society deciding, are we sending collectively out the right messages to our children? 1 in 20 children are sexually abused according to the NSPCC, and it's really important that we get them to understand that being kissed
I think it's
by
dangerous.
someone else, being kissed
But
by
it's not
someone if they were
because-
asleep would not be okay.
Okay.
But
I'm
it's
so
not
sorry.
because
I'm
it's
so
Snow White or Disney.
So she's saying that it's important for kids to know that somebody kissing them while they sleep is not as important to know. I think that's a conversation that you should have with your kid. Kids that are abused are usually abused by people that are around them. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna be watching my kids like hawks. So the probability of something of that sort happening is slim to none. But at the same time, you need to teach your kids that they can speak with you, they can talk to you about anything, and you need to let them know things off top. If somebody does this to you, they can't do that to you. Nobody can do that to you. Nobody does this. You don't let people do this. If somebody does this, you tell me all the time, dude. You need to understand the way that society works. And it sounds fucked up to have to tell kids these things, but it's better to have them aware of these things than to be unaware. That's just.
If you could, it's not because of Snow White or Disney that people are becoming sexually harassed, abused, or quite the opposite, not.
Thank you. She called out exactly what I said. It is not Disney's fault. If you're really trying to make an argument, you need to find these people. You need to take some sort of survey with men or women or whatever that's been convicted of sexual assault or sexual molestation of minors and children. And then you need to gauge, somehow find a way to create a test in order to find out if their mental process or them watching a freaking Disney movie was somewhat responsible for these acts. You can't just randomly throw out a random stat like that and just assume that it's going to stick like glue. It doesn't work like that. That is not the way that arguments work. That is not the way the debates work. You cannot do that.
Understanding boundaries. I work with those people and sexually harassed, abused, or quite the opposite, not understanding boundaries. I work with those people, and the reason people don't understand boundaries and cross boundaries and don't understand consent is very, very complex. It's nothing to do with the Disney film.
Okay,
It's
we have to leave the conversation
different.
there, and the reason why is because we have our government minister standing by. But my goodness, that got pretty heated towards the end. Very, very important issues. But whether it is Disney's responsibility to deal with them, we'll leave you to decide. Thanks very much indeed.
All right, everybody. That was Good Morning Britain, and that was their commentary on Snow White and the idea that this woman wants to cancel. Now, that's not the first time that I have heard the idea that somebody wants to cancel Snow White. I'm sorry if I have background noise. I live by these freaking buses, and they're running it for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, Snow White, this is not the first time Snow White's been in the news. This is beyond not the first time I've heard about this. So you can honestly really do this with any movie, any cartoon, anything. You can look at this movie, you can find one thing to be upset about, and because of that one thing, you can want the whole movie canceled, which is the dumbest thing ever. This is the thing. You cannot sit here, dude, and try to blame Disney, one of the most PC fucking companies that's out there. You're trying to blame them and try to shame them in order to do what you want. If this happens for some strange reason, if it happens, then what's to stop them from doing that to every single movie in Disney's catalog? And it's stupid because it's like, these are movies, they exist, deal with it. You know, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Just protect your kids and then allow people to raise their kids the way they want to raise them. You know, like it was stated in the interview, it's the parents' responsibility to have these conversations with these kids. It is not Disney's responsibility to have this conversation with these kids. Disney is a company. Their responsibility is to make money. That's what they're here to do. Your job as a parent is to parent. So that's what you need to do. But that's my thoughts. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Whatever the case may be, you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Adios. And yeah, this lady's stupid.